In episode number 314 of the Reasons I'm Broke podcast, we cover, is it Zatara finally coming true for your Emperor Kelli? We have the announcement of the live-action Avatar series.
We've also seen the first official image from Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, and we have our thoughts on that.
Our comic book highlight this week is the very controversial Batman Damned number 1 of 3.
All of this and so much more on today's show.
Hello and welcome to your Podcast Awards nominated podcast, The Reasons I'm Broke. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Kelli.
20 brand new Brokettes. The way we format the show is first we go over some news. We head into the Brokette block, which is what happened with Kelli and I this week. We then head into the Patreon shoutouts of the week. And we finish it off with a comic book review.
But because this first bit of news is my favorite kind of news, we're going to jump right in. Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee Nintendo Switch bundle has been announced. I wasn't expecting this shit, but it's there, and we bought it.
And who made us aware of this bundle first?
Bobby?
Bobby did, yeah.
Bobby! Saving the day. Do you know why we had to buy it?
Because it had Pikachu's face on it.
Well, and I have all the other Pikachu everything, so it would be a travesty. Oh, I do not have the Pikachu N64 or the Pikachu Game Boy Color. We're going to have to find these and probably spend more than the Switch costs.
Yeah, we did briefly cover this last week as the reason why we are now $400 less than where we were a few weeks back. It is pre-ordered within an hour. Kelli gave the go-ahead, like, no, we need that. Yeah, of course, we're getting it. Like, it was not even a question. Like, this is happening.
You were like, hey, Kelli, look, this thing is here. I'm like, cool, so you pre-ordered it already? When's it coming in?
So if you aren't sure, if you haven't seen this thing, it is a limited edition version of the Nintendo Switch, which has Pikachu and Eevee both on it. Is the system slightly sullied now with Eevee?
Yes, very sullied, but it's still got Pikachu, which brings it back up.
It brings it down and then back up. Yep. Oh, wait, Pikachu's still on there.
You're like, oh, cool, Pikachu. And you're like way up here. And then you're like, oh, and Eevee. Oh, but Pikachu's still there.
This also comes with the Pokeball accessory.
Cool.
Which from the trailer that they showed off, there were... I mean, it's going to be for kids, right? They're going to be throwing it at their televisions.
Right.
But I do like that the commercial showed, like, people about our age, and they're at, like lunch meetings, and she's like, oh, hold on. Like, she has her fancy dress and purse, and then she, like, clicks on the button, and she catches a Pokemon, I guess, and then continues on. It's like, that's not going to happen.
You kidding? I'm going to do that shit. I'm going to be at work. Pull it out of my pocket. Beep.
It also comes with a pre-installed version of the game, either Pikachu or Eevee. So for those of you wondering, there are two versions of this game. And with the console, it looks like they are printing a second box, or at least filling it in with a different download. What it would be smart of them, and I'm assuming this is what they're doing, is they're going to give you a code, and then you choose when you redeem the code which version you want. I don't think it's going to be box specific,
okay.
But I could be wrong.
That would be awesome. That'd be really smart.
It just seems like a waste of money if they have separate boxes, like here's the Eevee, because it's just the game difference.
No, that makes a lot of sense because nobody's going to buy the Eevee. They need to make like 2 Eevees and like a million Pikachu.
Only 2 codes will ever get redeemed. And it's both accidental.
And they're like, oh, fuck. And they're calling.
Can I go back?
Can you give me the Pikachu one? I thought I was asking which one I don't want. So this is retailing at $399.99.
I think regular Switches are what, $300, maybe $350.
So so for like an extra $50, you get the game and the Pokeball, which is $50 anyway.
So okay, I'm remembering now. They're $300. You get the game, which is normally $60. The Pokeball accessory, I think, is $30 to $40, and the limited edition. It's about right with what Nintendo has done in the past on these limited edition bundles.
But
go ahead.
Right after this one comes out, they're going to release the 2.0. So
exactly.
There's that.
I was just going to go into that, or they will really get me up the fucking ass, and they will say, Here's a Bulbasaur version. And that's how
There's
they will
not
fuck
a
me.
There will never be a Bulbasaur version.
If there ever is one, knowing my luck, there will be one announced right after this. And then someone at Nintendo's like, but no one's going to buy that one. It's like, yeah, but I really want to fuck with Daniel.
Less people will buy it than the Eevee. No, here's the thing, Daniel. You only get one pipe dream in your life.
Mhm.
And you got Batman the Animated Series re-released in Blu-ray. So you've met your quota. It's done.
And on the meantime, you've had your quota of pipe dreams every time they release one of these fucking Pikachu things.
Fuck yeah. But I'm the Emperor. I get all the pipe dreams I want.
That's true.
And hopefully, with this next news, I will get another pipe dream of mine.
Over a decade ago, Nickelodeon.
You didn't make that, like, dramatic enough. You gotta start with, like, Earth. Wind,
Fire and air.
A decade ago, Nickelodeon released the greatest show it ever put forth. But when the world needed it most, it vanished.
I think you got this covered.
Now, 10 years later, Avatar: The Last Airbender will be reimagined by the original showrunners, whose names I cannot pronounce, in a live-action series. Can Netflix save the world? Probably.
And this is why everyone always says, why doesn't Netflix just do it? Because apparently they have an unlimited amount of money
Well,
to start
apparently
making
they fucking
these fucking
do
things.
because they're making all these things.
Original showrunners are Michael DiMartino and Brian Konietzko. Why do you think that this is your Zatara fulfillment, your pipe dream coming to fruition? And first explain what Zatara is to anyone that hasn't seen Avatar.
Who hasn't seen Avatar? So, in the world of Avatar: The Last Airbenders, there are characters like Katara, who is the last southern waterbender, and her brother, Sokka. Is that how you pronounce his name? I don't even remember. It's been 10 years. Fuck. And then you have Aang, who's this little boy, 12-year-old little boy, immature ass, who's the Avatar and saves the world, whatever. And then there's Zuko, the troubled teen from the Fire Nation, which is the opposite of water. Anyway, in the show, Katara ends up with Aang by the end of it. 4 seasons later, they're together. But the whole time, they fucking planned to have her with Zuko, right? But Katara and Zuko put together Zutara. Okay, there.
So why did the showrunners decide to put this little kid with this older, what was, even when I was watching it, a bigger sister type.
A mother figure to him. Thank you. A mother figure. Because they interviewed stupid little kids and they said, yeah, we like Aang. But then if you look at the older crowd, there's the percentage-wise of the people who watch the show, there are more people who like Zuko and Katara together than Katara and Aang. But for whatever fucking reason, they went with Katara and Aang and just ran with it. It was dumb. They don't belong I can get into the psychology of why they don't belong together.
Now, here's the problem with you wanting Zatara, you and the rest of the Zatarians wanting that to come true, is now you have the inner conflict of that won't match up with what already happened in the show, with continuity, with the original content.
It's a reimagining.
It's gonna split.
Reimagining.
It's gonna split the Zatarians. I know it is.
No, it's not.
One crowd's gonna want it to be faithful to the original show, and one is not.
I mean, probably. But I would still love to see them together because that's what they originally wanted to happen, and then obviously it didn't. And Dante Basco, the voice of Zuko, is a Zatara fan too.
So if they do end up putting Katara and Zuko together, who does Aang end up with?
Toph.
Who tries to get with Aang?
Toph.
You know who else is going to try to get with him? Pedo Perv James Gunn.
Is he going to be creeping in the bushes like...
And he's kind of like Brock in Pokemon. Like, he's just denying his advances. Like, get away, you pedo. And James, like, gets hurt in some way every episode. Come on, let's hang out.
James Gunn's
you want to write the script with me?
Do you think they're going to keep it true to the original? Do you think it'll be Katara and Aang together at the end?
See, the fact that they're saying a reimagining, that's possible, yeah. I do think there's going to be more changes than just that. I think there are going to be it's going to be less comedic, first off, because it's not a cartoon, and I know that doesn't inherently mean, but the crowd is older now. The people that grew up on this are not going to want to watch what would essentially be like a Teen Titans Go type of version of this. They're going to want something that's
especially live
true.
Action.
Right. And especially if it's live action, they can't just be, unlike the MCU, they can't just be cracking jokes every 5 minutes. So I think this will be very different, but is this a slap? Well, let's actually read the quote because that answers what I was just about to ask.
Of course. Go ahead.
Both of the original showrunners said, quote, "We're thrilled for the opportunity to helm this live-action adaptation of Avatar: The Last Airbender. We can't wait to realize Aang's world as cinematically," it's a keyword right there, "as we always imagined it to be, and with a culturally appropriate, non-whitewashed cast. It's a once-in-a-lifetime chance to build upon everyone's great work on the original animated series and go even deeper into the characters, story, action, and world building," end quote. Clearly referring to M. Night Shyamalan's The Last Airbender.
The terrible movie that released, yes.
Did I see that before I watched the animated series? Because I remember you being really upset about it.
I think you did. And I didn't know anything about it. I didn't see anything about it. And I just saw, I think we watched half of it, didn't we? Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, this is fucking terrible.
They were just saying on the Lazy Gaming Guys stream that it took 5 earthbenders to lift that one rock in the movie and then slowly launch it. Mm-hmm. And I forgot who said it, but they're like, I can lift a rock about that size and toss it faster than all 6 of these guys.
Is he an earthbender, though? No, he's just using his muscles. It's different.
Yeah, it was definitely a bizarre movie, and I remember him saying that he was such a big fan of the show. Mm-hmm. Very controversial with the name changes, which he, funny enough, there was the whitewashing of the cast, and that was pretty big with a lot of fans. But also, he made the names more accurate to culturally what they were at the same time, which also pissed off fans. So it's we want the Americanized names, but not the Americanized characters. So it's all right, balancing act
here. We just wanted to be close to the show.
I guess that's what it comes down to, even if it's said incorrectly. But it is also the creation of these guys. So much like Ra's al Ghul, it is Ra's al Ghul based on Denny O'Neil, who is one of the co-creators of Ra's.
It's not Raoul al Ghul?
Not Raoul, that's our character. That's actually that customer's character, really. But
Raoul al Ghul.
Raoul al Ghul.
I really foresee this being much darker than the original. Do you?
Yeah, what are we thinking? PG-13?
Yeah, I just see it being heavier because, again, you're looking at fans that have now been fans for 10 years. So let's say you were 12 when you watched it, you're now 22. They have the ability to go so much deeper with these characters because there's a lot of dark themes in that show. They make it light, but there's genocide and, there's murder all over the place and enslavement and all this. There's a lot of stuff that they can really build on and make you go, oh my God.
There is one character that will not be improved upon in this live action show, no matter how they pull it off, no matter who plays him. And that is Uncle Iroh.
Uncle Iroh.
There will never be a good live action as good as the animated Uncle Iroh as we did get. So that's one step already. One thing going against them in this adaptation.
What if they get Tom Hardy to play Uncle Iroh?
Does not matter. It'll be a good performance. It will not be as good as original Uncle Iroh.
What if they get Jackie Chan?
Get someone to sing Brave Soldier Boy as heartful as he did.
Leaves from the vine. I'll sing it. Would I make a good Uncle Iroh?
You'd still be underneath. You would not be a perfect. It's Uncle Iroh. Everyone loves Uncle Iroh.
He was great. Mako.
And they named one of the characters, right, in Korra after him.
The episode always gets me, and then they say in memory of. They better have an in memory of him again.
Even though he didn't work on this.
Right. Fuck it. He will always be Uncle Iroh.
Can there be a credit to M. Night Shyamalan?
No.
Can they get any ideas from that?
They'll probably throw something shitty in there.
Oh, I'm sure.
And they'll be like, go away, M. Night.
You know how they did that episode of The Play and they were just living out the fan dreams or whatever? They should do that scene again when they get to that episode, but it'll be M. Night Shyamalan's version where they mispronounce the name. That's how you throw shade at that.
That would be hilarious. They're going to throw that in there. Do you foresee this being small episodes or long hour and a half Netflix style episodes?
It could go either way. It seems like their original programming has been about 40 to 45 minutes long, but then we have Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, which is 20 minutes long. However, that was a purchase from a previous show.
Right.
So they're just following the format that was before. But everything like House of Cards, Orange is the New Black has been about 40 minutes each. So I do think it's more likely to fit that format. I don't think it'll go as many seasons as the show did, though, the animated.
No, they could really condense a lot of stuff because, again, an animated show has filler. So if you really want to tell the story, and again, you're going for a more mature audience, you're going to really drive home those points that you need to, but kind of push it along. And see Katara end up with Zuko.
If Avatar: The Last Airbender on Netflix ends up being PG-13, then that same crowd can also go into theaters next week to watch Venom because that has now received an official PG-13 rating, and director Ruben Fleischer spoke out recently about the possibility of an eventual extended unrated cut.
He told Fandango, quote, "I wouldn't rule anything out. We'll have to see where it lands, I guess, but I wouldn't rule anything out." End quote.
A nothing answer.
I mean, it might be, and maybe it might be. We'll see. I mean, I wouldn't say there wouldn't be, because there might be.
He doesn't know, like, one way or another. But I think it's fine. I think that I was saying this on Twitter. I still don't get the idea on where it needs to be rated R. I understand people are saying, well, he's a dark character and he kills these villains and he eats their brains. It's like, yeah, but the comics were also PG-13. They were
Right.
teen plus. You never saw Venom do any of those things that you're now claiming is where, like, you're sourcing that as the reason why it should be rated R, when all that would have been PG-13 if it was also adapted to film or to the animated shows or anything like that. And with that, too, you don't want to stifle your ticket sales. It's going to cost them more in ticket sales to please people saying, oh, well, it's rated R, so here you go, than it is to say, well, here it is PG-13, piss off the people that are saying, well, it should be rated R, because most of those are still going to go see this.
Oh, yeah.
Even the MCU haters are going to go, or MCU sheep are going to go in there just to hate on it and then, leave and talk about it later. So no matter what, you're not going to please those rated R fans, but that's going to cost you way less than if you went ahead and did an R rating. Yeah, we have the evidence of Deadpool. 1, Venom is not Deadpool. 2, it's not even the same studio, so they're not going to take that risk on a movie that they're trying to build a whole universe behind. Why the fuck would they make their first movie rated R? Makes no sense. You got to think about it from the chairman's standpoint, from the we got to make money and we got to build this up if we're actually going to contract Tom Hardy for 2 other films.
You say this like you're the chairman.
I will not confirm or deny anything either.
I mean, it could be. I don't know. It might be. I don't know. Anything happens. We also have another quote here from Fleischer, who said, quote, "I think it would be a mistake of any superhero movie not to stay through the credits." End quote.
And that's when we'll see Carnage.
I mean, you could. I don't know. I want there not to be an end credit scene. So you could say, I just think it would be a mistake not to say.
Because now you know there isn't an end credit scene. It's a scene of the director saying, like, see, there isn't one.
See? But thank you for staying. You got to see all these people who worked really fucking hard on this movie that you all fucking leave for every single time.
It is set to release on October 5th. We are buying our tickets tonight, we said, right?
Yeah, hopefully. I got to make sure we have childcare. Always about that childcare.
Always about it. But for Predator, I was there day 1. Venom, we're going to be there opening weekend. Got to see Tom Hardy. Got to see him kick ass. He even acts out as Venom, so he's literally playing Eddie Brock and the symbiote.
I got to eat brains. Is that what he says?
Like a turd in the wind.
Oh, yeah. He's the Kool-Aid man.
Moving over to the opposite end of the superhero side, from Sony's Marvel over to DC's Elseworlds cinematic universe, we have almost a year later, the Joker is going to be on the big screen. We'll be watching and reviewing that a year from now. Well, director Todd Phillips has shared the first official image of Joaquin Phoenix from the movie.
This is simply captioned Arthur, and leaked footage of on-set filming of Joaquin Phoenix getting kicked out of a comedy club also surfaced.
What do you think of the first image? It's if you haven't seen it, it's like a headshot of Joaquin Phoenix as what we're just going to call him Jack Napier. I don't know if they still have to pay Jack Nicholson for that, but
Arthur. His name is Arthur.
Jack Napier.
Okay.
Are we going to have to... This first image of him, he's obviously shuffled. He is a failed comedian. He's probably... This is the Killing Joke. He's got no money, probably has a pregnant wife, and that's probably the story we're going to see unfold on the big screen. I don't know.
You're making a lot of assumptions just from his headshot. He's got no money. He's got a pregnant wife. Oh, how do you know all these things?
Deny it. Just deny it. Like, that's what it is.
I mean, it could be. I don't know. Maybe it is. Who knows?
And of course, I did see the footage. Did you check it out?
I didn't see the footage, but his headshot was really cool.
Yeah, in the footage, and this is all like someone on the side of the streets filming this kind of weird type of paparazzi trying to get images of this Joker. And he comes out of a door that he gets kicked out of. Like, he stumbles out of it and he spits back at the door. And then out comes this clown, like this regular, like, big clown guy, and chases him down the street. And Joaquin turns back around and he's smoking a cigarette. And they're talking for a little bit. And Joaquin walks up to the clown, takes his little red rubber nose off, and rolls it down the street. And the clown goes and chases it. And Joaquin laughs and walks off. So it's probably a scene of him making fun of clowns, saying that that's weaker talents, that his performance is greater. And then at the end, when he does come across his accent, when it does happen, because again, this is going to be the killing joke, and his face gets bleached, he's going to see the irony of this terrible situation, part of the insanity that comes out of it. And he's going to laugh, and that's what we're going to see. He's going to become the clown that we all know and love.
The Clown Prince of Bel-Air.
And what I like about 2018 is these paparazzi have these amazing cameras. You can zoom in, and it's in perfect focus. What we didn't get out of this is dialogue, which I know some cameras can capture that, but I'm guessing the technology is still not good enough to where you can film from hundreds of feet away and be able to, like, just let me catch that audio there coming out of his mouth. So that we didn't catch, but we did get that footage. And Joaquin is very skinny for the role. We've seen him leading up to this preparation, and he is super skinny. This is kind of like almost an Arkham Asylum comic book Joker, the animated series Joker, all of that. And the physique fits what is going to be probably the gangliest Joker we've ever gotten on the big screen. I mean, even like, we got Heath Ledger. He wasn't rail thin, and definitely not Jack Nicholson. And then Batman 66 either. Like, that was not, he kept his fucking mustache. Like, he didn't care about the weight of the Joker. Cesar Romero.
Just paint over it.
And so in this case, it is pretty much the most, so far, screen accurate Jack Napier that we have gotten. That is all the information we've seen from this movie. We got that official headshot of Joaquin, a failed man, a struggling man. And what can the MCU make up and come up with? What can the MCU sheep say about this revelation?
It's not in continuity.
My tweet was, well, look, it's old Joker, right? Look at how old he is. What is this, like old man Joker? It's like, all right, that's all.
Retiring?
It's like, all right. So they did well. They did good with this release of Joaquin Phoenix. And some have tried to compare the hair. They're like, oh, that's No Country for Old Men. Am I right? It's like, no, the hair looks nothing like that. Nice try though. Like it's a bit of a reach. That's how much they struggled to try to slam this. And one of DC Olympus even put up the tweet of the, Batman v Superman, Man of Steel release, and then the MCU sheep say, not every one of their movies need to have that same dark and grim tone. After Wonder Woman releases, the MCU sheep, this is how every one of their movies should be. Then Justice League releases, which has a very light tone like Wonder Woman, and then they say, no, they should just quit and reboot. And then they show the Joker, Joaquin Phoenix's, and now they're saying, aside from being old man Joker, they're saying this should be the Matt Reeves Joker. They should just get rid of Jared Leto and have this be the in-continuity Joker. It's like, you guys don't know what you fucking want. This is why they should stop listening to you. Because of you, Justice League happened the way it did. So fuck off. That you have nothing with this on top of that.
Right.
And we're good. Like, this is going to be a side movie that Joaquin Phoenix is an immense talent. You have the story of The Killing Joke, which is one of the best-selling still comic books of all time. And you're making a big screen adaptation to it without worrying about where it's going to tie in, what comes after this, any of that. This is, I guarantee you, a one-contract movie for Joaquin.
Oh, I'm sure. But then they're going to see how much money it makes, and then there might be more.
I highly doubt it. Joaquin is one of those talents that goes out there for the performance, tries to nab an Oscar, and if he does, great. If not, he retires for years and does a rap career.
Could you imagine if he got an Oscar for this role? Because then the Marvel Universe could really be like, my superhero movies don't win Oscars.
They would say, it doesn't count. Not DCEU. It's like, but we already have Suicide Squad.
It's not real. It's in the most popular picture category. You guys created that for your fucking selves.
That'd be the irony, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
like if a DC movie wins that.
It would be amazing.
I'd be like, it still doesn't count, but that's fucking hilarious. And then an exec at Disney could go insane as well at the irony of that. And
then he becomes a real life Joker.
Yeah. Movie producer Joker. Man, that'd be great. Do you think he's actually going to be... I mean, I guess it doesn't matter. They don't have to call him Jack Napier because it's the Joker and who cares, but is it going to be Arthur?
I think they call him fucking Arthur. Mm-hmm. Yeah, why not? Unless they're doing it metaphorically, like Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, and he's the leader.
That'd be great. I'd be like, yes, indeed. Interesting.
Aronofsky peeks from behind the curtain like, yes. Goes away.
I can't wait. It's October 4th, 2019. Filming's underway. I know a lot of people expected the first actual image of the Joker to be revealed in this. Something I was also wondering about is if this ends up being... how would you feel if they never revealed the Joker in the marketing and they just show him, they save him for the movie?
That'd be fucking cool.
You think that would be a smart move?
So here's what I think. And they're going to do, this movie's going to be great. I mean, I feel in my bones that this movie will be good, right? Whatever they do with it. But in my mind, it's the whole story of Jack Napier or whatever they end up calling him. And then you won't see the Joker till the end. And it'll just be like that laughter. And then you see like a shot of him and boom, that's it. Like, to me, that's a very well-rounded movie of the story of the Joker.
That's also one way in which you would get rid of that baggage that is trying to make Commissioner Gordon insane, shooting Batgirl, having Batman try to stop you, and all to prove that you're both insane men, and you share a laugh together and the screen, goes black. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen either. So the way you would do that, as you mentioned, is to end the movie with him becoming the Joker. Now, the downside to that is you never see the fallout, because we're fans, we know, oh shit, that's what that means. But as a movie, standalone film, you don't know what that means. I guess you can just say, oh, ironically, he became a clown, and now he's really not funny because he's murdering people, but he's funny to himself. And so you can make that distinction, and you can take that away from the movie, but I feel like that's a little weak.
Yes, but you could potentially have him be full-fledged Joker prior to him becoming the Joker. So he could still be doing all this shit, getting in with mob bosses, learning what he can, working his way up, controlling people, making all this shit happen. And then just at the very end is when you see the final physical transformation.
Here's what you do. Like, you just gave me this idea. You see the transformation that happens, do it Red Hood style like in The Killing Joke. So someone is responsible for setting him up. You don't even need Batman for this portion. But then you see the transformation. He obviously goes to kill the people that had this responsible because of all of this. His wife and baby were also died, and we saw that in The Killing Joke. So he has to, even though he's insane, go after the people that created this life for him. And then in turn, he takes over the whole criminal empire of Gotham. And that's when you cut into a laughing shot of Joaquin, as they're calling him Walker. They're spelling it like Joaker. I don't know how you pronounce that. And then, sitting in a big fucking Godfather style chair and fucking desk and all that shit. And you ended on that with laughter on the black screen and then credits directed by, all that shit. And you just hear the laughing. That's how you end
it. What would you do if at the end you heard laughing and then very briefly you heard tears and then it cut to black?
Yes, and you just gave me chills. That is amazing. That's how you fucking win an Oscar on this fucking shit. See, that's the kind of shit that we like. This is we're clicking on this level of movies because, and this is why we're like, fucking look at all this other bullshit.
Oh, I thought you were going to say this is why we're married, but all right.
No, because I lose then too, because it's like, oh, that's why you married me? Because of the movie? See? I know. I'm not stupid. Oscar. That is genius. That is like, oh my God, what a fucking... That would say so much about the character, about the story, about everything. That's amazing. Very good.
Thank you.
Are you sure you're not the producer?
Oh, you never know. It could be anything. Maybe.
Will there be an unrated cut? Will this be rated R?
Oh, you never know. You never know.
Quit being coy.
Before we go, but continue. You have to talk about why you laughed at my little sound, the video that you saw this week.
So you shared with me on Facebook. It's from Curb Your Enthusiasm. If you didn't recognize the tune, but those episodes always end on like this really awkward type of moment, very Seinfeld-ish. If Seinfeld had like just an abrupt ending in the middle of one of their really the story. And in this case, they were doing the gender reveal. They were assuming the baby's gender in 2018 by popping the balloon. And they had this big, it was like this weird, they had the pink and the blue and then this giant black balloon.
Mm-hmm.
Then they were outside on like a patio area and it has helium in it for whatever fucking reason. They decided to put helium in it. You don't need it though. When it's that big, you can just hold it and it has the two balloons.
Whatever.
And she goes to pop it. I don't know what she had, but it doesn't pop. And instead it like bumps forward into a crowd and the guy like grabs it and he bops it back to the mom and it bounces off of her hands and then it just flies right up into the sky. And then it cuts to written by Larry David.
The first time I watched that, I didn't hear the sound. And I was like, that's so sad. And then the credits popped up and said Larry David. I was like, what is this shit? And I had to rewind it and listen with sound. And I just knew it was for you.
I just want to know what happened after that. Like, how do you reveal? Like, oh, well, it was this. Like, it's so anticlimactic.
Yeah, that's what you do. Because the thing is, the mom probably didn't even fucking know either. Mm. So typically in those cases, they give an envelope to somebody else and somebody else goes and orders all the shit, right? So mom was probably like, oh, now I don't even know what my fucking baby is.
If this had been Curb Your Enthusiasm, it would have been Larry David hitting the balloon back and like it bouncing up. Oh, Larry! It would have hit her in the face and then floated up.
Or
nice, Larry.
There's that moment, or he's at a gender reveal and everybody's outside like talking and the reveal's in the cake and he goes and goes
and he walks around with a slice.
Am I sure I'm not the producer? I don't
You're a writer of something. I haven't figured it out yet.
Fan fiction. I'm a writer of fan fiction. So fucking good.
All right. There's no transitioning from that. Like from Curb Your Enthusiasm to DC Collectibles.
I bet I can find one. Are you ready?
Sure.
I got you right here. Daniel, I need you to curb your enthusiasm for these DC collectibles because I know you're going to want them. Oh, this is why I'm an emperor. Got promoted because I can transition.
Fuck, I can't do that one either.
Palp approved.
I was going to say promotion with Palpa, but that's even more difficult than you'd.
Palpamotion.
Damn it.
Palp promotion.
That's a dance, though.
What, Palpamotion? Then this is a Palp promotion.
All right, you got it.
And it's also a palp position for palp transition. Anyway, continue. I'm sorry. I'm done.
So as always, the previews catalog does release. It'll be out next week. But they always do these solicitations ahead of time and put them up online. Not the full ones. The full catalog has everything. But they'll do like these, the DC and Marvel, Archie, Dynamite. A lot of the big publishers will reveal what is on the solicitations. And in this case, we're going to go over some of the highlights because there's a lot of really good shit on this month. So we don't cover it every single month. But in this case, I'm like, God damn it. Like there's going to be a lot I'm going to be spending on. And one of the things is the DC Bombshell statues. We have the Harley Quinn one. In case you missed out on the Poison Ivy, which was one of the early ones, they are going to be re-releasing it in a sepia tone variant, which they have now done for Harley Quinn's Bombshell. It hasn't released yet, but it is one that they did. And it'll be out May 2019 for $125 in case you missed out on it, or if you like that type of style. It's not one we're getting, but I figured it'd be worth highlighting because the Bombshells from Aunt Lucia really took off for a while there.
The Poison Ivy is one of my favorites of the Bombshells, too. So it's great that they're re-releasing it so that you can pick it up if you didn't have the opportunity to. Next up is something I'm assuming that you're getting.
I'm getting 3 of these.
Okay. So we're getting some Batman the Animated Series action figures. We're getting Hardak.
Yes.
Two-Face. Scarecrow's second design. That's not Balloon Head, right?
No, that's first design. So this is the Snaggletooth one.
Oh, Snaggletooth. And then the last one is like Beefy Farmer.
Yeah, that's the one that most people like.
No, it's Spooky.
With the noose around his head?
Yeah, Spooky.
Well, it's the Scarecrow.
Beefy Farmer. Okay. And Grey Ghost.
Adam West himself, the Grey Ghost. I'm getting Hardak, Scarecrow, and the Grey Ghost. That is my favorite design of Scarecrow. It's the one that scared me as a kid. The teeth got me. I don't know why. Like those weird teeth underneath. And as a kid, I was like, geez, like, I don't know what it was about it. It's just a creepy type of alteration to the face. It's abnormal. It's weird. Even more so. And by the time like the season 4 design came up by Bruce Timm, like I was too old. I'm like, that's not the Scarecrow. That's not scary. And then the balloon head one definitely isn't scary. And that one they quickly redesigned into the awesome one that is releasing. And I think that's also the one that had the big scythe. I don't remember him having the scythe in the balloon head episode. I could be wrong. I think he just had the finger gloves that he would shoot out the pink smoke out of. And the gray ghost, it has like a little poster as well with the movie poster on it that comes with the action figure. Ghost. So I have to get that. And then Hardak, half Batman, half machine, and it's got a variant head, so you can put the full Hardak machine over it. The Silicone Soul, I think, is what that episode, that 2-parter was. Heart? There was. Silicone Heart, where it answers the question of a machine version of Batman. Can Batman defeat that? Will a machine Batman still kill, even if it's programmed to? But it's so programmed like Batman that I'm not going to spoil that. I mean, it's 20 plus years ago, but still, like, it's a really good fucking episode. Get the DC Universe app and watch them.
So those are $28 a piece. They release May 2019.
Also releasing that same month next year is our next Batman Black and White acquisition. It is a Bruce Timm designed Batgirl. Do you remember the Batgirl Adventures comic that we got from that comic shop? It was $25.
Yeah.
Has Harley and Ivy down in the background on the rooftops. That exact pose from that cover of Batgirl, like swinging, that is what's going to be this statue. And anytime in the past they've come out with a Bruce Timm designed Black and White, it's fucking gone and triples in price.
$400.
Last time you checked. Who knows what it is now?
Right, and that was several years ago. So this is retailing for $80. Also releases May 2019.
Last one we're going to highlight, not one we're getting, but I'm hoping this is the start of a full line of these, is the Dark Knight's Metal, the Dawnbreaker statue. It's 7 inches tall, $85. Again, releases in May. This is the Green Lantern one, as drawn by Ethan Van Sciver. I wasn't as big a fan of that design. The story was interesting. He took down the whole Green Lantern Corps himself, but it's not as marketable a design, I think. But it is hopefully the start of the rest of these Nightmare Batmen that we're gonna see, I'm guessing, in statue form.
You know what I think of the Nightmare Batman?
Who
cares? Not me. But somebody out there does. There you go. Enjoy your Dark Knight's poopy metal. Whatever.
The story wasn't cool, but the designs were awesome, weren't they? Some of the backstories were neat. The Batman who laughs made Superman tear his own family apart.
You know why Superman tore his own family apart?
To get closer to Batman?
Because Batman's really his family, even when he's a Joker Batman.
It's dark. I'd mentioned the DC Universe app. Last week, we didn't have it yet. Turns out like a day later, you could download it early. Select people could. And of course, we... Like, all right, you guys can't be on DC Daily, but here's the app a little bit early. It's like, thanks, DC. It's like, get us on DC Daily, man. We'll be there. We'll be in California on set.
Hell yeah.
Promoting the podcast, giving shout outs, Patreon.
They'd be like, yeah, we're releasing this cool thing. And I'll be like, who cares? They'll be like, Kelli, you got to promote this shit. And I'm like, I'll tell you what I'm promoting. Avatar: The Last Airbender on Netflix.
It's competition, Kelli.
We're all one big family.
They're like, what's that mean? Yeah, we finally got to play around with it. I have it on my Android device. We have it on Roku. And went out and bought the cheapest version of Roku available because it's not available on the PlayStation 4, which is our streaming machine. And that upset me because that is what a lot of people use. And I went on Twitter and I saw DC Universe's latest tweet. And most of the people on there were saying, when's it coming out on PS4? When can we get it on PS4? And a lot of people were also saying that it's up to Sony and not the DC Universe. Yeah. So I don't know who's at fault, but I can't watch it normally on my television. And yeah, you can stream your phone to your TV through smart TVs or even through Roku, but the quality doesn't translate over as well. So you really want to have a device that streams it straight. So I bought the Roku stick, and that was $30 at Target. Plugged it right in, downloaded the DC Universe app as well as everything else that we do have, like Hulu and Netflix, MLB Network. And it turns out that the DC Universe app crashes continuously when you bring it up. went on Twitter. Everyone else is having the exact same problem. Roku's not blaming anyone. DC Universe is not blaming anyone. So no one knows, is this a Roku shit or is this a fucking DC Universe app shit?
They know where it is. They're just not blaming each other.
There's no fix that I've heard. They're all saying contact customer support and check out our frequently asked questions, and everyone's saying, yeah, clear the cache and all that, but no, that's not working. Fix the app. So I can't even watch it on the TV. The only workaround I found, and I don't know if you guys have something else, but here's my tip, is as soon as the app, because it loads for like 2 seconds and then it crashes, as soon as it loads, it's going to default to whatever the featured movie or TV show is, hit OK, and you can watch whatever that is, but you can't go back to the menu. Right. Now, I haven't gone like and finished it because I started, I'm like, all right, Superman, I'm watching that then. I'm watching the Dick Donner Superman. And I got to about a quarter of the way through, and then, I was babysitting today, so I didn't get to finish it. But I'm going to fast forward to the very end and see if once that ends, if I can choose other things in my favorites list. Because if you have it on your phone, which it works wonderfully on, you can save all. You don't really have a queue, but you can put things as your favorite and it'll list up that way. So I put a bunch of the animated movies we haven't seen. I put the Superman movies, the animated series, of course. And that was the first thing I saw was the Man-Bat episode. And then I watched Superman, the animated series, which was phenomenal. There's so much in that first episode that I hadn't seen in so many years. But even Jor-El, when he's escaping Brainiac, like the other Kryptonians, that Brainiac's been like, hey, kill the Kryptonian. So they all go after him, and he jumps out the building, and he's sliding down this big metal leg that holds up the building. But the way he slides down, it looks like he has this flying pose. So they did little things like that. So it's like that now I catch as an adult. It's like, oh, that's fucking clever. And so I can't wait to dive into the rest of the show and see what else Paul Dini and Bruce Timm, as well as the late Alan Burnett, put up on the animated series.
I will say I do like our Roku, though. It is much faster to get into things than the PS4.
Mm-hmm.
So there's one positive.
I've also found that the quality of streaming is much stronger on the Roku. It's sharper. Yeah? Like when we were watching MasterChef the other night, I'm like, man, like the colors were a little too vivid, so I got to mess with the controls because it seemed a little too bright, if that makes any sense. But the sharpness was much better, and I'm assuming that's because this is a device dedicated to streaming in 1080p as opposed to a gaming console.
They probably have it that bright to bring out Ramsey's eyes and hair.
His plugs?
His hair plugs, yes.
Maybe.
Well, hopefully they fix the app soon, and then we'll be able to watch all the time on our TV.
Before we continue moving on, one of the other things I do want to highlight on the DC Universe app is, just to kind of round off the review too, they have like a forum section to each movie, each TV show, every comic. They even have like a creator's corner where eventually there will be people in the industry that are going to chime in and you can ask them questions. I think some of that is a little bit dated. One, when you do reply, it doesn't give you notifications if someone tagged you. You can't tag anyone. You can't continue a thread. It's just a strict forum, just like you would see back in the 90s. And the other thing too is when you can't add other people as friends. So we're the reasons I'm broke on there, but I can't say, hey, make sure to add us so we can share each other's lists or anything like that. It's not really, there's no reason to set up your profile all that much. Like I set up our banner, it has our you and I on there, and then we got our logo and everything. I don't really see much of a use to it. Now, this is primitive. They could evolve this later on, but it's just one of those things that I figured they would have had from the get-go, kind of more robust and figured out. That's not the case. The other thing that I have been seeing too is a lot of people have said, well, it doesn't have everything. It's like, right, from the beginning, they're not going to give you every single thing because it's like, what are they going to add then? Only the original content? They're going to roll out these shows over time. And I'm assuming that's also a cost thing because how many people do they have to pay that it worked on all of these shows to have them streaming on the DC Universe app? A lot of people think, well, it's all Warner Brothers. They own it all. It's like, well, no, even if it's different divisions, they have to pay themselves. There's still a budget that exists just for this streaming service. They have to justify the service to themselves the next quarter, next time they decide to whether or not they're going to keep the app going. So all of that, it's like, I get it. I know why they're doing this all in waves. I hope that they don't remove things like, okay, now the animated series is gone, but here's this. Like, that would be really shitty. But I don't foresee that happening. They haven't given us a reason for that to ever be the case. So I'm not going to get concerned or anything. At the moment, we have the animated series. It looks great on my phone so far. I hope they get the app fixed soon. That's the one thing that I would say. If you don't mind watching things on your phone, by all means, dive in. The comics, I'm not going to use it much, but I did try it out just so I can talk about it on the podcast. And the quality on there is not as good as what you would get on the DC Comics app. So whenever you're reading through the comics and you zoom in on the guided view like you would have on the app for Marvel or DC, you can see everything and it's sharp. But on the DC Universe app, when it shows you the panel, it's actually blurry. Like it's almost like it stretched out the image as opposed to reloading that particular panel.
So they like scanned it from the book rather than take the originals.
It's like they just put a large file, but it's like, well, no, the panel has to be like massive.
Right.
You know what I mean? So especially if you're watching on your TV. When they were showing it off on the television, maybe that's where it gets better. I've only been able to access it on my phone because the Roku app did not work well. So it could be a different case. It could be like Capullo when he's like, oh, look at that panel. Like maybe that works out better on the TV, but on your phone, it doesn't work out as nicely as other digital platforms. So for comics, pass on it. And most of you know, like you read physical comics anyway, so it won't matter. And the selection on that is slim anyway. It's like the first couple of issues. Like the first appearances are great. I got to, read Detective 27, but that's also available on other better digital platforms. So put that aside, put the forums aside for now. That can improve. You paid for the service to watch really the animated series, Batman, and that you get no problem the first 2 seasons. And I believe it is in better definition than the DVDs. It did look sharper. I don't know if this is the HD quality that you're getting from the Blu-rays. I think I remember you and I talking, saying that they're saving that for the Blu-ray instead of the DC Universe app. So this is kind of what I was asking for many years ago, of just give me a translation that works on HD, not necessarily more DVDs. And that's what we get with the app. So that looks gorgeous. Animated series for Superman looks great. The Dick Donner Superman I don't think it is like super, 1080p remastered or anything, but it does look nice on the TV as well, which is the only thing I was, again, able to play. There's captioning, there's everything you would expect. So if you want to watch the animated series now, I say go for it, but if you plan on seeing it on the big screen, wait a little bit longer.
So you would still recommend the app at this point, worth the money?
It is to me, yes, absolutely, because I've been getting my money's worth and watching at least the animated series and Superman on my phone.
So that does wrap up our news for the week. Now we can move into our Broquette block where we talk about what happened in our lives.
By the way, if DC is listening and you put us on DC Daily, my little qualms will disappear all of a sudden. Like, the forum's great, everyone. You can put up your banner. You can put up your logos. You can talk to other people every single day. You could read comics on your phone, on your TV.
And they're great!
I got to see The Predator, which was not so great. I was going to do a full review of this today, and there's no point. Like, I'm just... One, you didn't see it.
Right.
Real quick, though, it is directed by, the reason I really wanted to see it is it's directed by Shane Black, who did Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. And I don't know how this was so vastly different from that. It stars Boyd Holbrook, who was one of the villains in Logan, Trevante Rhodes, who was in the Oscar-winning Moonlight, Olivia Munn from X-Men Apocalypse, and G4's Attack of the Show. She's trying to make it in film, all right?
Okay.
And it was written by Shane Black, who also wrote Iron Man 3, which is my favorite of the Iron Man films, and also Fred Dekker, who wrote RoboCop 3. This Predator movie is what I've been calling Predator Ragnarok. If you saw Thor, you know that there is a joke every 30 seconds in that movie. It's the same case with Predator. This is almost like a parody of the original Predator film. It takes place... it even takes place after all the other ones. Like, you could even say that it counts after AVP, even though there's no reference to the aliens. But they could have easily worked that in. But they do mention the incident from the first one with Schwarzenegger. They do mention that the Predators have been visiting Earth, and there's a reason for it. But then there's, like, the perfect thing that I was like, all right, I'm fucking done with this. And I'm not one to walk out, and I don't think I ever will. But one scene... The Predator is on the back of an armored truck, similar to like the Harvey Dent scene in Dark Knight, is, murdering all of these soldiers in the back of the truck, cutting them up, cutting off limbs and heads and killing them. And the driver's hearing all this bumping and apparently no screams. He goes, "Hey, what's going on back there?" And the Predator picks up a severed limb and it cuts back to the driver. And in between the seats, like the limb comes through and it has a thumbs up. And the driver's like, "Oh, you guys." And then the Predator like throws it down and sits down. It's like, oh my fucking God. Fucking done with this shit. This is an MCU movie.
That sounds horrible.
I was really disappointed because it's also the last one before Disney takes over.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like we already got the movie that they would have made that they're going to make in 10 years. It's like, fuck, man. I got duped. But at least, Fox got their money.
And you saw it, so...
They set it up for a sequel that I probably won't see, and it's the first movie from Shane Black that I didn't enjoy, so no one's perfect, No one can do it all, except for Aronofsky. And he's no Aronofsky. It's all right, Shane. I'll watch your next thing. I'll watch the next one.
Unless it's Predator 2.
Fuck no. So I watched that this week. That was, What else happened? What went on with you?
I had a very uneventful week, but Leo has been having a very eventful week. He's about to walk. He's real close. He slept through the night last night.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe he just slept next to you, so he kept you awake and not me. One of these.
Yeah, I didn't sleep much.
Yeah.
I've been, as I told the Brocats earlier, perpetually grumpy for a year.
Yes.
So like even at all facets of my life, I've just been grumpier than normal. And people on the Discord know, like they've seen even people on Twitter, they've seen like my more grumpy side. Mm-hmm. So that's after a year of not sleeping, and the dads and moms out there know exactly what I'm fucking talking about.
Yes.
They're like, "I'm on year 5, bitch." And I'm like, all right, Jesus. I didn't know it lasted that long.
Hopefully he starts sleeping soon. We're coming up real close on a year. So something I appreciate about this time of the year is I'm seeing a lot of Facebook on this day, and I'm remembering those, the week leading up to having Leo and all that kind of stuff. And then when I get to the most exhausting day of my life, we're real close. I'm on vacation. That's exciting. That's
nice.
Pretty much it.
So why'd you go on vacation?
So through my job, I get something called bonding time, which is, it's unpaid, but I can take, I think I have like 5 more weeks that I could take of unpaid bonding prior to Leo's first birthday. It all has to be before his first birthday. But because it's considered bonding time, I can use my sick time, and my sick time's use it or lose it. Mm-hmm. And I had so much sick time. So I asked my boss, I said, I want to take bonding, but I want to pay myself sick time. And she's like, yeah, sure, do whatever you want to. But again, I have to do it before his first birthday. So it kind of worked out really well this week. My brother's birthday is this weekend, so I get to celebrate with the whole family. We are actually going to MegaCon Tampa.
In spite of them denying the Kelli a pass.
How did you put Kelli, or did you just put reasons I'm broke?
I put Kelly with an I.
But you didn't put Kelli.
But I did put the reasons I'm broke. How many other Kellys are there?
You didn't put Kelli.
Someone overread it?
That was, So they hired somebody new. That guy's going to get fired. But whatever. So, yes, we'll be going to that. So I just took the weekend off. Fuck it. Take the weekend.
Yeah, we'll be going Friday. Tune in next week. Mm-hmm. We'll have a review of our first time at Tampa Bay MegaCon. We've gone to Orlando's, which has been my second favorite convention, right behind C2E2. So we'll see how it is on Tampa Bay. I hear that it's smaller. It's not as crazy. And from the guest list, it does look like it's going to be a smaller convention. I know Brett Weldell I'm going to get a commission from, and we'll see what other things I find. Some other comics, some dealers. I feel like this is going to be more, hopefully, comic-centric, but who knows? There's some Walking Dead cast members. A couple of voice actors from Voltron are going to be there as well. So it'll be a fun time. It'll be Leo's second convention, too.
Yeah. It's always exciting with a little Leo at a convention. We also had a fun competition today to see who could pick up things with their toes.
A credit card in particular, yes. And you won. You got it within 5 seconds.
2 seconds. I didn't know what you were doing. You kept flicking it back and forth, and just didn't make any sense. What's been going on with you this week?
Just the Predator was the main thing. We had, you know what? New Comic Book Day this last Wednesday has been one of the biggest ones this year. We had Batman Damned, which we're going to review at the end of the show. We had The Return of Wolverine #1, which has sold really well. We had the new issue of Venom First Host. We had the new Justice League with the Jim Lee Joker cover, which also evaporated from the stands. It took me almost twice the amount of time to process that Tuesday's shipment. And I had to call in the owner, like we're really behind, and even then it took me forever to even organize the Marvel section because the Return of Wolverine has over 10 variants, which we didn't get all of them. We're like, it's one variant for every costume that he's had over the years. And it's like, all right, let's get the big ones. Let's get Age of Apocalypse. Let's get Weapon X. Let's get the original with the whiskers. Let's get the brown and tan costume. And then, of course, the main cover. And then we qualified for a bunch of incentives as well. So thankfully that's been doing well, but making room on that stands for those, plus all of the second and third printings that Marvel puts out, plus all of the variants that they do. It's like, it took me half an hour just to do the Return of Wolverine because it's like I had to shift everything. And even then it was cutting it close. On the DC side even, like there were some great variants like the Jim Lee one and then Batman Damned. But it was also like, all right, we were very nervous about Batman Damned because as the owner said, it's either going to be one of those books that we sell a lot of by the weekend, or we're going to be stuck with them from now until the end of time. And the reason that is one, it's $6.99 for this comic. Two, it's oversized. And he pointed out that in the past, a lot of subscribers that see that in their box, because we do the extra pull suggestions, and when they see that in their box, they'll get intimidated by the price and then the size. So it's almost like a super annual. They'll say, oh no, I'm getting enough as it is. So many people will either pass or get it. Come Wednesday, huge sigh of relief. I had 0 people kick it back. Everyone said, yeah, add it to my pools. Yeah, I'll get it. Yeah. Every single person. And it wasn't just due to the controversy that we're going to get, because that didn't really hit until Wednesday night when many people really got it in their hands and started reading it. And even then, the speculators didn't come out until the very next day. And it was just a massive new comic book day. I'm sure every shop enjoyed the releases and the extra bit of income from that. In October, I think it's the first or second week of October, it is in sheer number the biggest new comic book day of the year. Like there's just a lot of titles, a lot of variants, a lot of big numbers that are hitting that particular week from Marvel and DC because they have to outdo each other. That I think is going to be even bigger than this last Wednesday. So I'm just prepping mentally. And even, with our staff, it's like, all right, the owner's probably going to have to stick around all day and night to help out with that shipment. It's going to be fun, but it was a lot of putting out fires. And it wasn't a fun experience, but it was, we got through it. We got through it.
Good.
That's what my week was like. But we did get some questions submitted from @Aswaylock, which is spelled @ALUESNOC, who is one of the hosts of the One Up Me podcast. It is a video game podcast found on your favorite podcatcher, whatever you're listening to us on now. You can find One Up Me podcast on there. Longtime Brokehead, Patreon backer as well, and submitted questions this week.
We do have 3 questions. The first one is, are you really broke?
We wouldn't be doing a podcast if we were legitimately broke. Like a broke person is on the streets.
No, I feel like broke is a relative term, though. Because do we have enough to pay our bills? Yes. Do I have enough to go out drinking every night? No.
Do we have enough to buy a video game as often as some of the brokettes? No. That's also a no.
Right.
But we also have enough to get comics every week. Not every comic we want, but...
Right. It's a relative term. Like and I am thankful that you are very prudent with your money, prudent with your spending. That, we don't go out and buy every little thing that we need and want. We make sure our bills are taken care of first. Whatever's extra goes into savings. And occasionally, we spend a little bit more. Do we make tons of money? No. Absolutely not. We are fortunate
we both still have to work.
We are very fortunate that we rent from a family member who gives us an incredible deal. But if we didn't have that deal, then we definitely would be broke.
No, we'd still be paying this, though. But it would be an apartment.
Right. It would be significantly smaller. You wouldn't be buying comics because there would be no room for comics.
Well, no, yeah, that's true. But I'm saying is our spending would still be comparable to what we're spending now. It's just that we do have the benefit of renting a home as opposed to an apartment. So we are lucky in that aspect. We're lucky that we have been able to work out our schedule, which is one thing when you have a kid, you have to suddenly make many vast, more than you think. Like you hear already, your life is really going to change. It's like you don't really know though until you actually get there. And one of those changes is, okay, we now have to change our days off. If you have the benefit of that to where you have enough days where someone can watch Leo so that we don't have to pay for childcare elsewhere.
Ugh, which is ridiculously expensive.
Super expensive. From a personal standpoint, I don't want him in any childcare, and that's due to my personal things that happened to me as a kid. So there's many reasons why we don't want that for Leo. So we have that. We're lucky in that case, in that we can work out our schedules to have a day off with the little man so that he can be watched. So yeah, I mean, it's weird. Like it's the branding of the show, right? But we would have way more money if we didn't buy comics or have video games or get statues or even have a podcast. And, all of that goes into it. But these are the reasons why, we're relatively broke. this is my car's not paid off. I know
my car's not
we don't
paid
have
off.
anything going towards a home. It's
right.
All of that is, we have to move. We don't have assets. Like once you have assets, then you're all right.
Then you're not broke anymore.
Yeah, there you go. I have a car that's not paid off, and a child in some countries that's an asset. So James Gunn it is. He's like, really?
A child? Why is he British now?
He's not, but it's just he's super coy or whatever. Again, we're making fun of the pedo perv, not dirty jokes like that filthy man did. There's a difference, MCU sheep. Back the fuck off.
No.
As they say, don't at me.
Never. I at you.
You add me? Please do.
At you. You're sneezing, gesundheit.
No, at you. Right. We're talking about
should,
Larry David, but come on, leave the Jews out of this. Come on.
Stop.
Next question from a Swaylock as well is, how did you ask Kelli to marry you? How do you ask the emperor to marry you?
In an epic way, I'm sure.
Our favorite park is Epcot, and you weren't expecting this.
I wasn't.
We went to Epcot, which
by
was
the smelly drums.
one of our favorite country is the Japanese portion of it, and that's because at that time, like a lot of those things in that marketplace, they import a lot of items, and I'm not a weeb enough to know like the local areas where they do import that stuff, and some of the stores that I have seen are usually bootlegged items, like bootleg Dragon Ball items I've seen a lot of. But we always go to Japan. We love the koi pond that they have in there. The restaurant we've been to, the marketplace, it kind of looks like a little like a Japanese marketplace. Well, there's even like a bar area too.
Epcot too was kind of like our first date. That was where we went on our first official date.
Gotcha.
Like we were pretty much dating before that, but this was like it was official.
It wasn't was it Facebook official at this point?
I think so.
Okay. So, and that's a big thing of it, and that's one of the things that we still enjoy to this day is going to Epcot, and now we do it with a little man, but we still go around the world, and we get food, and we get drinks, and we go on the rides every now and again. And on this particular day, we went to Japan, and what they have on this little stairway area that leads up into the restaurant, and you can look down on the koi pond, and there's like trees and bushes and everything. Japanese style. That's one thing Disney does is they import the plants from that area, that country, and they'll theme it up with that. So in this case, I had a plan already to do it on the bridge that down looks over the koi pond. And I was like, all right, well, let's go up here, like we always do. And it's like, let's take pictures like we usually do. And on the bridge, there was this little fucking kid playing around. I said, fuck, this goddamn kid. So it's like, all right, normally we just keep walking and go around. And you were still walking. I was like, oh, can you get a picture of that building, the Japanese one? Oh, yeah. And like, I was just making up a thing so that kid would fuck off. And then eventually he got off the bridge, but he was still playing like in the sidewalk next to it. And I was like, fuck it. And then like we got on the bridge, and then I proposed on the bridge.
You did. I don't even remember that kid. Like I didn't even, he didn't
I
even
remember
register.
that fucking kid.
He didn't even register.
I was
at
so
all.
mad at him.
I remember I didn't believe you till like the next day because you had told me for 6.5 years that you were never going to marry me.
Much like many other men out there tell themselves.
Yeah, I guess.
Then you fall in, and then you also say you're never going to have kids, and then you have kids. It happens.
And you love your child. He's adorable. He's just a little you.
He is. So that's how I proposed to Papa Kelli.
I remember.
At Disney's Epcot.
I remember the things I remember most about that day. I mean, obviously that moment, but you were sick. Remember, we weren't going to go, but you had been planning it for forever.
Right.
And we went and saw Frozen right before. I remember that.
Did we see Frozen that same day at Downtown Disney?
Yep.
Fuck.
It was December 3rd.
Gotcha.
Because you said it was an easy date to remember because it's 1, 2, 3.
Gotcha. All right. The last question from a Swaylock is, how do we feel about Comixology? Well, as you know, I was purposely avoiding saying Comixology earlier by saying digital platforms like the DC app and the Marvel app, but they all work with Comixology as well. I actually, it doesn't affect comic shops in a negative way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that it's owned by Amazon, so I do have a thing against it in that I don't want to contribute to it, and I don't. I don't buy anything on Amazon. I don't buy anything on Comixology. So that's what I have against it. But as far as a reading platform for comics, it's actually helped comic shops. That was one of the things when digital market was first coming out, is people were saying this is the end of comic shops. And this was, over a decade ago that this stuff was coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out that it did not negatively affect comic shops. No one canceled their subscription and said, I'm going to go digital now. That doesn't happen. People like to collect, and people that do collect are going to continue collecting regardless, as long as they keep printing that stuff. Even when they close down stores, they'll find a different local store to go to. So in this case, it ended up finding that the younger readers, people that were discovering the app and going on there, every week they do have a selection of free comics. And it's usually 1 or 2. Maybe they'll have a bundle deal. But based on people discovering on there, I have had people come into shops and say, I read about this online. They haven't said specifically, I saw this on Comixology, but that's all bundled in with the online platform, with the digital media that we're exposed to. And there have been instances where they read a first issue and they want to get the physical trade paperback. They want to get the full story. And sometimes that ends up being cheaper than buying each issue individual on Comixology, or it ends up being the same price, but they want to own it and put it on a bookshelf and give it to a friend and share it, pass it down, read it again. So when you've grown up reading this stuff like this, and there's kids now that buy their comic physically, so they're growing up reading comics physically, it's only a gateway, it's an open door to comic shops. So that's how I feel as far as digital media as a whole in the world of comics. But it's still owned by Amazon, so no money to them. Fuck off, Amazon. Still the enemy of brick and mortar to anyone that hasn't got it.
I think you summarized it perfectly. That's kind of my feelings on it too, is when you give people the opportunity, like those free issues, to read a free issue, that only opens the doors for more people to jump on them and go and pick it up in the stores. For example, I listen to Maroon 5 on YouTube every day, and someday soon, when I have time to go to a store, I will go to a store and purchase the new Maroon 5 CD, because it is our son's favorite song.
Which one is it called?
Girls Like You.
Oh, it's top 10s right now, right?
Yes, it is Leo's favorite song. He loves it. That and the MASH theme song. I don't know about this kid.
There's even certain commercials that repeat on Hulu that he immediately recognizes. He stops what he's doing and immediately eyes on the fucking television.
And they'll dance.
One of the Universal Studios one he likes.
Loves it. I think he likes that girl in that one.
Maybe. He also likes the cheese. I don't know what, Protegio, because it's got like classical orchestra music, which he also enjoys, probably because of the hip hop classic video that you show him every day. So he has an affinity for that. I play house music for him when I'm showering and I got to watch him. He just rolls around in his little walker, and he just listens to music on there. And then, so all of that, where was I going with this?
How much he loves music.
Oh yeah, digital.
Well,
so
when he, and this is probably why he likes it so much. When I was pregnant with him, I listened to summer hits of the 2000s every day driving to and from work, and he would just go nuts. Like, there's certain songs that he went nuts every time I played it. And of course it's all like The Offspring and shit, but whatever. And so that's probably why he likes that particular kind of music. It's because he heard it every day for 9 months.
But yeah, thank you so much, Swaylock, for submitting your questions. And if you do have a moment, check out the One Up Me podcast. At one point, he does mock me for calling it Kingdom of Hearts. We had a little back and forth on Twitter. That was a lot of fun. So if you want to hear that, you can check it out once again at One Up Me podcast on your favorite podcatcher. But with all of that out of the way, let's head into the people who make this show possible before we go into the very controversial Batman Damned #1, our Patreon shoutouts of the week.
Our first shout out goes out to Jared, whose Twitter handle is @SpoonSandwich.
He ended up tweeting, quote, "Dude, you are my main source of comic book related anything news. Might need to diversify my intake.
You
End
sure
quote.
don't, sir.
No, you're good, man.
You're fine.
You're good. I told them if you want to rage with me, listen to other comic related podcasts or at least superhero movie related podcasts, because then you can see the fucking Marvel sheep and the nonsense, and you can say you'll be equipped already with that's nonsense. This is why. That's bullshit. This is why. Fucking sheep, fucking herd. So yeah, for that, do it.
Our next shout out goes out to Scott, whose Twitter handle is at Lazy Gaming Guys.
That's right. He is one of the members of Lazy Gaming Guys, a weekly YouTube streaming channel. They play Kingdom of Hearts. They're playing Destiny 2 on there. I've been on there streaming a couple of times live. And Julian, one of the hosts on Lazy Gaming Guys, will be coming to Florida. And yes, we will be hitting up Epcot among other places because the Lazy Gaming Guys are huge Disney heads and they love Epcot. And Julian, who is known to be, he's still drunk from his one drink last year. So now he's going to sober up by the time he comes to Epcot, and he can also then have a very light spritzer or a very light something rather, and be drunk for the next year as well. So that's going to be fun. We'll probably stream on Twitter as well.
And our last shout out goes out to Joss, whose Instagram is at Decal Avenue.
Came to find out that it's pronounced Jose. Yeah, how'd you know?
Because it's in the notes.
Oh, okay. Well, he runs the Decal Avenue, which sets it up for our $5 rewards tier right here on Patreon. Thank you so much, Jose. And head on over to decalavenue.com for a wider selection of decals at your fingertips.
If you too would like your shout out every month for as little as $1 a month, is 25 cents an episode, you can head to patreon.com/thereasonsimebroke and become a Patreon backer as well.
Takes 2 minutes and goes a long way in helping other people find the podcast. Let's head into this week's comic book highlight of the week.
Like we said in the very beginning, our highlight is Batman Damned #1 of 3. This is written by Brian Azzarello, and the artist is Lee Bermejo.
Very controversial by now. You had to have heard about it. Digital platforms are censoring. Digital platforms like Comixology, Beachance, are censoring Batman Damned #1. And DC will be removing the Bat Penis from future printings of the comic book. Yes, you do see Batman's dick. Twice in the Batman Damned #1. For the first time ever, out of continuity, you see Bruce Wayne's dick. And no, not fucking Nightwing, his actual penis, his other Nightwing, his other sidekick. Much more useful than any of the Robins. Created a Robin, in fact.
It sure did. So some retailers in the Bible Belt have called for the issue to become refundable due to the bat dick, and over the final page, which they are considering to be blasphemous.
And it's not a major spoiler. It is a twisting.
Crucifix.
Yeah, it's a crucifix. It's the Jesus on Christ on the cross, and he has been what do you call it?
Graffitied.
Well, I didn't want to spoil it. Graffitied.
Oops.
Yeah, he's been defaced. We'll say that he's been defaced. I'll edit that part out of the show.
All right, thank you.
Some retailers in the Bible Belt have called for Batman Damned #1 to become returnable due to male genitalia on the pages and also that final cover. So these are, do you think that this is as big a deal as some of these people are making, some of these retailers are making it out to be?
No, because it wasn't like you saw all of his penis. It was like a shadow of a penis.
You got to remember, these are all, 40-plus-year-old men. If it had been boobs, would not have heard a goddamn thing.
Why are the Bible Belters upset he was circumcised? They should be fine.
That was one of the things. I was like, I didn't know Bruce Wayne was Jewish. A retailer in Largo, Florida, right here in Florida, put together this public letter to DC, put it up and shared it for all to read.
It reads, quote, "As a retailer, I would have appreciated knowing in advance that the book would prominently feature Batman's genitalia, so I could have cut my shelf copies off my order form. While DC may see no harm in this type of gratuitous display and may feel labeling it mature readers is enough of a deterrent to under 18 age buyers getting their hands on it." He's got to stop.
I'm all right.
You're mumbling stuff. You should have, at the very least, polybagged it with a warning to retailers to not sell copies to anyone under 18. I guess it's no big deal to you if some parent looks through our shelf copies, sees Batman's penis, then files a complaint with the local authorities, resulting in some clueless retailer's arrest. I haven't forgotten Friendly Frank's or the reason why the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund exists. I will bag and label my shelf copies of this issue and will refrain from ordering shelf copies of DC Black Label titles in the future. You have indeed successfully made an impression with your new line, Dan. Good luck with that. End quote.
And the book has completely sold out at Diamond, by the way.
Of course
so
it has.
So there's been a huge impression. This is the power of the Bat Penis.
Huge
Bat Penis. Huge impression on it's sold out everywhere. It is out of print. Speculators came out. They want to own the official first appearance of Batman's dick, even though it is out of continuity. DC probably won't do that again for quite some time. Last time we saw such a memorable dick in comics, it was Dr. Manhattan's. So now it's like, holy shit, it's going to be the Battle of the Dicks someday. Maybe. I don't know. Like they'll make Liber Mayhos in continuity, and he can fight Dr. Manhattan naked as well. Who maybe that'll be the fucking issue that really sells out and goes out of print. But okay, so there was an issue in the past that he mentioned here with Friendly Frank's due to content being sold to a minor. Someone did get arrested because of it, and there were things that happened. But that is not going to be, I don't know the circumstances completely of that first case, but I can tell you that there have been many times in which independent comics, Walking Dead is a big one, that hits the shelves. And that has heavy content as well. Mm-hmm. But because it is sex in general, it is a huge thing in the U.S., especially in the Bible Belt. So I good luck trying to make this returnable, because you put them on the shelf. You're probably sold out now, Mr.
Sure.
Retailer. You are probably sold out of this copy now. You're not going to have copies. As soon as he left this letter out, he went to the shelf to polybag his leftover comics, and they're fucking gone. This is Black Label. It says mature. You know what's going to be in here. Mm-hmm. You know it's not for kids. You know to warn readers that, hey, this is not even Batman White Knight. I told people, there's the Batman Day comic that we gave out for free. I tell parents specifically, Batman Low Gotham is all ages. This is not. If they decide to take it, that's on them. Even if I didn't tell them, it says it on the book. That's reader beware, right? Like, they can still say, no, he never told me, even though I did, but the book itself is that protection. And it's a Black Label comic.
Here's the thing about the Bat Penis, though. If you hadn't told me it was in there, I probably wouldn't have really noticed it. Because it's like a shadow of the Bat Penis. It's like black on black Bat Penis. Yeah. Okay, so it could have been anything. If nobody made a big deal about it, it wouldn't be a big deal.
But it is, because we're in the U.S.,
but it made some man's pants fit a little bit tighter because it was a bat penis. And he's like, we can't have this. We're corrupting our children. Jesus. Why don't you teach kids not to objectify people, and then it's not a problem? I'm sorry, I'm getting on a soapbox. I'm done.
Or don't give them 18 or over comic books. There's an age range here for this. This would be your rated R Venom movie or whatever the fuck. This is it right here. With his last line, if you have made an impression with your new line, yes, he absolutely did. We are talking about it now. We're talking about this more than the actual comic itself. It is on Bleeding Cool. It is on Newsarama. It is on Facebook. It is on retailers putting out these responses because of that. And they're now Black Line is going to be, the Black Label line is a thing. It is going to be here to stay. It's not going anywhere. In spite of them bitching out and new copies are not going to have the Bat Dick, you bitched out on that, DC. You should have kept it in there because you probably could have still sold those second, and you still will. Not an issue. But it's like, fuck off, man. We're going to keep printing this. It's Black Label. If you want to polybag them, great. But it's still not even, books that are polybagged are blatantly graphic with their content, whether it's nudity or gore. This was, as you mentioned, more of a silhouette of the Bat Dick.
Talking actually about the book, it was okay. It wasn't one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's going to be 3 issues long, miniseries. It comes out every other month. Issue number 2 will be out in November. It's narrated by Constantine. You asked me ahead of time, is this TV Constantine or is this comic book Constantine? I was like, it's the same to me. So what was it to you?
It was comic book Constantine.
Was because he was joking a lot, right?
You want to know what stood out to me in this book? What my favorite part of this book was?
What's that?
What do you think it was?
The beautiful artwork.
I mean, the artwork is nice. Zatanna.
Okay, I thought you were going to say Dead Man.
No, I really liked Zatanna in this
Really?
book. I was like, oh, she's fucking edgy. I don't know. I thought she was really cool. I thought her design was really cool. To me, it was a very gritty, modernized version of Zatanna, and something I hadn't seen before.
It was like an amalgam of New 52 Zatanna, which we're not huge fans of, and classic Zatanna. So it has a mixture of both, and it does. You can see that on the big screen. And even Lee Bermejo's Joker is very much Heath Ledger-ish, which from over 10 years ago, I think at this point now, that look of Joker is this Joker in Batman Damned. Same with that Lee Bermejo costume, which he has used in the past with Batman Noel as well.
Batman kind of looked like Michael Keaton, though, in the last page.
You think so?
I was like, oh, Michael Keaton, what are you doing here?
The Vulture. I like the Vulture. I like Michael Keaton. I'm all right with that. Yeah, I mean, the story was okay, as you mentioned. If you can find the copy, give it a shot. It's $6.99, no ads at all. It's oversized. The artwork displays beautifully in this. And to all the collectors, it fits in magazine-sized bags and boards. So track those down to protect these.
Can I tell you, though, we had talked about how this paper was cheaper for them, which is why they didn't need ads and they could make it bigger. I thought this paper was fine. I didn't notice that much of a difference.
I agree. I thought it was going to be more closer to newsprint. But no, not the case. It's still, like, it's not the premium pages that you saw in, like, Dark Knight's Metal or any of the event books. But it's still like, all right, this is almost like a regular standard comic now. And if they did have to downgrade it, didn't feel any difference. It wasn't, again, thicker than usual for these bigger books, but it was awesome.
Thicker than usual.
Not as thick as Batman's dick.
It wasn't even a hard penis. It was just like hanging there.
Yeah, I mean, why would he be hard? Like in that scene.
I'm just saying, it's not like he was like,
Like that, like when he said gratuitous, it's like that would have been gratuitous,
right,
guy.
If he was like
a little pre-cum and everything.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, dude. Get out of here. That nonsense. Now, before we close out, so I do want to say that on our YouTube channel, a bit of house cleaning here, we did put up the Batman flashlight projections video that really showcases and highlights the book as it should be, which we talked about it on the podcast last week and all of the great features on it, but you can see it in action on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/thereasonsimmbroke. It's up on our Patreon page as well as a post, also up on Twitter, but youtube.com/thereasonsimmbroke. Click on our unboxing playlist. It'll be the latest one on there. Definitely check it out. It's really a cool thing to see, and there's a little surprise cameo in there that I think you'll all enjoy.
But with that, we will say goodbye this week, Brokeheads. Tune in next week for our full review of MegaCon Tampa 2018.
And
that'll
in 2
be
weeks,
a lot of fun. Ooh, 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks, we'll know about the podcast awards.
Yes.
So you'll hear us comment on that.
Oh, and for those of you who are keeping track, I will actually still be here next week. I'm not getting my wisdom teeth removed.
Oh, that's right.
So I will see you guys next week, and sometime in January, I'll get it done.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to tell a friend. Be sure to tell them about the show if you feel like they would enjoy some of the topics like the DC Universe that we do talk about. If they don't like DC Daily, tune in to The Reasons I'm Broke weekly. More DC content and presented in an uncensored format for all of the Brokehead Core. Thank you so much again. I'm Daniel.
I'm Kelly.
And Brokehead Core, all will be well.